Okay, hi, fascia family. Listen, today we get to address wheels, our legs, which is probably my most favorite thing to do because when I first started, I really had a lot of congestion in my legs. As a matter of fact, my leg size didn't have very much variation between my quadricep through my knee and to my ankle. It was all about the same size. I didn't have any play or movement in this area. That's what actually had me find fascia blasting is because I was having plantar fasciitis issues and a tremendous amount of pain for 2 years, and I had almost given up, and I think that's one thing I'd really like to really reiterate that how important it is never to give up on ourselves. Like, I'm 60, gonna be 61 in a couple weeks, and fascia blasting has greatly helped me. But before fascia blasting, I used to be obese. I lost my weight. And then I still had these congested tissue where it was just not pretty skin. I had cellulite. And then, like I said, I had more of a cankle kind of presentation. I just had kind of stocky legs all the way down. Now, in clothes, I look like $1,000,000 because I was doing triathlons and marathons and everything. However, taking outside of those clothes, I had a whole nother ball game that I was challenged with and self-conscious about. And I will tell you that I have been doing fascia blasting 9 years. I am completely seasoned. I have brought it into my practice and doing it professionally for 8 years. What I would like to walk you to walk away with today, which is some little tidbits that you didn't know already. So I'm just going to strive and pray for that to happen. Now, it's different when I am doing a virtual appointment and I am sitting here one on one because now I'm watching your tissue and I'm like, "Oh, you see how my tissue is moving like this, but yours is not. You see how my biomechanics I am doing like this and yours is not." But we don't have that luxury here. So we just have like where I'm just going to be talking into the screen and hopefully there's some gem that stands out for you. Okay? So I'm going to start by like thinking about what I do every single morning to start my detox pathways. I have a very weak detox pathway system. So I spend more time on detox than probably the average person. I just got a stagnant little lymph and that's just what I was born with and I make it healthier and vital every day by working the fascia system and making sure that I'm eating responsibly from what's on the end of that fork and cellular hydration. So one of the keys I want to talk about hydration. Hydration happens from an intake, right? Like this, but it also comes from like us using our tools on our fascia system and hydrating it from that angle. So there's many ways to do that, but it's important to be doing it from both. And I want to show you what I first start with every single morning before I even get out of my bed. So I'm going to hopefully have you easily see what I'm doing today. I am in a small square footage here, but we're going to do our best. So watch me. I'm laying on my back and I'm going to do exactly what I do first thing in the morning before I even leave my bed. I bring my legs up in the air and I straighten my left and I bring in my right and I squeeze it with arm strength. So I'm cutting off supply on that, pinching on that right hip, which is the ascending colon. And then I put that leg down. I do it to the other side, that leg down, pull them both up at one time, trying to flatten my back. And then I do twist side movements, trying to rotate my hips, and then I do a shake. So I'm doing the shake, activating my lymph system, getting my body naturally detoxifying. Okay. Then I sit up. Then I sit up on my bed's edge and I do this. So we have 6 points in our lymph ducts that if we could activate, it's going to help our body detoxify more on a daily basis, on a moment to moment. So right here at our clavicle, we've got a duct. So just rub your hands a little bit back and forth on that clavicle area. You can also just tap it. Then right behind our ear here, we've got like a little soft spot. And we want to round circles to that or tap it, doesn't matter, or both. That's your second point. So right clavicle here, underarms. I like to take and squeeze my arms against my hands, which are squeezing against my breast, kind of pumping that area. That's the third one. Fourth one is our belly. I like to go down a little bit, just pressing, nice and gently. And then back and forth motion with the belly, then tapping on the groin, and then the back of our knees. You can either just squeeze it or tap it. You get all of those going, and that will help activate your lymphatic system first thing in the morning. Then, what I like to do is on my bed's edge, after I activate those, I take and I activate my lymph in my head. So I pull up on my hair, and I've got my hands going in round little circles towards each other, and I squeeze and pull on my hair a few different directions, and I get that going. Then I hold my platysma muscle down, and I put my chin to the air, and I try to disarmor all of my tension in the back and let my chin extend up and release all the tension that is here in my chest cavity, helping this lymph line detoxify. So chin up as I'm holding my tissue down here. Okay, now from there, I actually get out of my bed finally, and I go and I take my steamer and I sit over the kitchen counter and I put good oil on my face, my chest, and my neck, and I invigorate. So I detoxify all my superficial tissue area, the lymphatic, and I do it to my whole entire face. And then I brush my teeth and I start my day. Now, one nice thing is I call these things my rituals. And so I don't let myself have my morning coffee until I've actually done those rituals. And it takes me only seconds now. I have added on more trampoline time and some weightlifting, trying to get more muscle into my body as I age. So I'm, like I said, I'm going to be 61 here any day, and I do have some decent muscle because I'm thinner, but I don't have a lot of strength still. So I've been trying to work on that more component to myself by doing squats with my kettlebell and then lifting up with this kettlebell 15 pounds, just trying to get more rotation and strength in my upper body. And so those are kind of the things that I naturally do on a daily basis, not even including, warm lemon water, dandelion tea. I do a warm ginger root and turmeric water. I do, healthy eating. I run my own DNA. I do know what my diet's supposed to be. I'm fairly responsible for doing that with a few little treats here and there. And but I always find time in my day to do that self-care because that self-care really helps me feel better throughout the whole day. So one great thing is I have really realized between the age of 50 and the age of 60, I am doubling my self-care time. And I used to resist that. I'm just telling you now, don't resist. Just build it in. And it's just part of life. Our body gets a little tired, right? It's a little bit tired. It is have been in encompassing many toxins all day long, every single day from everything we touch and do. And so it's important that we actually pull that out. So let's go ahead and start our blasting. So let's see here. Let's go ahead now. You can oil up using your oil. I just dumped some in a little canister, and it helps me just do it faster and stay on target. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do your legs. So let's go ahead and just oil up real quickly. And I want you to kind of think about not really having too much like, oh, I've got to follow this precisely, and trying to see what really makes your body feel good. What are you doing? Where does it feel good? Itchy, creating some more space, just soothing to the area, and then you just stay there longer and pay attention to what your body needs. But let's go ahead and start with a small tool like a face blaster. And I'm going to go right on the top of those metatarsals. And what I try to think about is what feels good. And I'm trying to do little scratching motions quickly so that I warm up the tissue in that area versus going a big long duration where I can't get the tissue as warmed up as well. And I'm pushing my foot down a little bit, which actually makes some of the discomfort going over the bones a little better for me. And I separate out the toes. So I'm a big foot blaster. You know, when we are standing all day long or sitting or working our body in a way that is not the correct way to stand, so our biomechanics are off, it's almost like we've got an earthquake going on inside of our body trying to stabilize our body. It's like this every second. And our fascia system is a stability and suspension system. So it helps us stabilize all of our joints when we're not using them right. So starting by using your feet right and having healthy toes and spread out and learning how to walk off with your toes, shoes that actually bend and you can use your feet right, and taking out any tension that we actually have in that. So as you can see, I'm coming to diagonal behind all the joints, and the joints is where I spend the majority of my time, and as opposed to the belly of the muscle. I tend to work the joints more because the joints is what the fascia system is trying to stabilize and help us. And I feel like the healthier my joints can be, the inner belly work will naturally work itself out more. So I am just like pretending like I'm kind of scrubbing this and underneath the bone, all around the calcaneus, which is your heel, up and over those bones. So I go over the bones. Okay. This feels absolutely delicious to me. Then I like to come on the bottom, and I'm really trying to spread out my toes and get these teeth in between the metatarsals from the bottom side. And if you've got a thicker pad here where like your toes are back more, we need to start getting some strength in those, and you start working those more. And this pad should not be protruding straight out too far, nor should your toes be going out one way or in one way. So we want to really work on the health of those alignment, and we can do toe exercises. We can get toe extenders. I'm a big toe extender fan, especially for my clients that have got toes that stack on each other or wear heels all the time. I have them wear the toe extenders when they go to bed at night, and when they fall off, they fall off. Okay, done pretty well. Now I like to think about taking this line up the bone, because how it feels on the bone is very different than it feels in the meatiness of the tissue. So if I'm keeping the whole device on the bone, I'm using that even pressure on the bone and warming that tissue up. Now remember, anytime that we want a area smaller, like I wanted my ankle smaller, so I'm working on the health of the tissue, and then I'm going to stay in the ankle area longer than what I would stay on the belly of the muscles, because I want this area smaller. So I'm trying to reduce the size in there, and I'm going fast, trying to get it all heated. And then coming up and doing it from that outside also. And I like to do it like little scratching versus all the way along, unless I've got a longer tooth tool, which is a faster way also to like go up and down. But I do like to kind of do inching back and forth. I feel like that warms up the area better for me. Okay, now we're gonna bring it up, and then I'm gonna go back down, and I'm gonna point my toe to get in between these tendons and ligaments back here more. And I'm actually got the tool on its side. As a seasoned blaster, I can go a little bit harder and deeper. You might not be able to do that in the beginning. And the idea is that you just keep your tool either flat or slanted, whatever feels most intuitively good for you. Then we're going to go the whole length of this back side. And I'm trying to come up behind my knee here, grab the tissue, and make sure that I get up around that area also. For a long time, I missed it, and I still have a little bit of crepiness that shows up here because it's not as healthy as the rest of my calf. Okay, so now let's go and do some detail work at the knee joint. So I'm going to go at the bottom quadrant outside, and I'm just taking these teeth right along the bone here, and I'm going at a diagonal. And if you can come up and over this bone here, which is a condyle, you can feel up in that and see if there's any kind of gravel or anything that's sort of sensitive right here. And you just spend a few more minutes there trying to work that area. It's very common that this area is something that people get a lot of knots and gristle around because our bones are porous. Okay, so then we're going to go to the kneecap. We're going to go scrub right under that kneecap, right at that tendon there. And then on the inside, I like to take it once again, the teeth right against the bone, at a diagonal away from it. Now, you see where I've got all of these like indentations? You're supposed to have those. So if you don't have those and things are bundling together and pouchy and fatty, then you need to spend more time here or even taking and squeezing the area, desensitizing, getting all your tendons and ligaments to separate off, moisture within there. Because this is not supposed to be a big fatty bound area. If it is that way for you, it is because it has been trying to protect your knee. So when you're not using your feet right or your knees right, your body's fascia system is going to create those adhesions in order to help you stabilize, right? And so we want to actually be using our biomechanics right and not relying upon the adhesions to be formed from the fascia system. And because we want to keep our body moving, gliding, healthy, and which makes it look beautiful. So we're coming at that bottom quadrants we've done on the knee. Now I'm going to go to that top quadrant inside. I'm taking the side of my tool because I have more seasoned blaster, and I'm coming out at a diagonal, coming out at a diagonal. And then I'm going to do that last quarter, last little quadrant here. And once again, I go right up to that bone and move away. Now, you don't have to put yours on the side. You can keep it flat, whatever you're most comfortable with. And this is how I define out what I call pretty knees. You come right up and over the bone, spreading that tissue out so it's getting right over the bone. And then at the very top corner, it's got a little indentation that I find. And then I just little scooping of that tissue away from the knee, trying to get that knee mobility as high as possible, which also creates really pretty knees and pretty shape. Okay, so the detailed work done. Now we can go back with your big tooth tool, okay? And we're going to start with that top. Once again, we have to go fast because we're trying to get this done in a timely manner. And you're trying to think about getting these teeth in between the metatarsals and separating things off really nice. Come back around the back quadrant, corner, up and over that bone, and then the inside. And let's go underneath the foot with the fiber under the foot. And then you can also go that cross fiber. Get up behind those toes, though. Separate all that stuff off. Really start watching your tissue health. Your tissue health will tell you how the fascia is laying down. It'll get softer. It's a get more hydrated looking. It'll just get prettier. And it'll feel softer when you're putting your body lotion on. You'll even feel softer. Okay. So now remember how I want this area to be smaller, right? So my calves to be smaller. It feels so weird to be talking and not see myself. Okay, so here, let's see. So I'm gonna stay in the ankle area longer, trying to reduce the size in that area and to stretch out all those tendons and ligaments that come around from the plant of our foot, really affect how we stand, trying to release and give them as much mobility as possible. Then you're going to come up and do the belly and the inside of that knee. And then let's go to that outside. So once again, I've got my toe pushed down so I can get in the tendons and ligaments in between them because I've softened the area. And then I'm going to come up to the belly. And you can always take, and you could go cross fiber to that outside, which I love. This is the GoDaddy, the Big Daddy. I like the Big Daddy. It is one of my favorites. I have to say probably the Face Blaster, the Mini 2, and the Big Daddy are my ultimate favorites. If I had to only choose a few. I have found that I do like a lot other ones when I've got the choice. It's really nice that when I'm traveling, I only bring a few, but when I'm home, I've got choice to use whatever I want. Okay, now I like to do the top of my leg as I'm sitting down, and then I like to do the back of my leg and the inner side of my leg from on my feet. So let's go ahead and let's see if I can show you. There you go. Okay, let's lube that all up and let's make sure that we lube up really well around our hip bone. And then you could either take your face blaster or the Pro Nugget. I mean, the Pro Blaster. I like the Pro Blaster up around my hip more so than the face blaster. So I'm just going to use it since I have it. And I'm coming right off that hip. So I'm trying to go right over that hip bone and think about normally right at the top of the hip bone, a lot of us have like this little thicker area up here where it is gristly area that has been protecting our hip flexor, shortening our hip flexor. Now go back and forth at the belly and get it nice and warm. Okay, nice work. Okay, then I'm going to think about coming off this hip and going down the top part of my IT band to release that. So I've got the IT band area warmed up, and now I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on my heel and on this bottom tooth, and I'm going to be very intentional about like inching the weight down on the top level of that IT band. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom level. If this is sensitive for you, you just go lighter. It's really nice because when you're blasting your own body, you can feel everything on the inside. And we're really not wired to give ourselves pain. So you can just, if something's painful, just go lighter and stay there longer. Okay, so I've got this all well taken care of. I'm going to go back with the big tooth tool up at the hip bone, and I'm coming behind that hip bone, and I'm actually thinking about, okay, don't have to protect that hip bone. Let's get all the mobility here so we can move around really well. And then I'm going to come to the IT bands and I'm going to go the same direction as them. And then I'm going to do some cross fiber to them. And then on this inside, you see how like if I lift my leg, I can get this line, I can show these lines where the muscles separate off. If I want those to look prettier, longer legs, I just stay and I work in those lines, trying to define them more, which makes it appear to have longer legs by just defining out your lines where the muscles separate off. Okay, so then for the back side of my leg, I have found one way that I really think is hugely beneficial because what we don't understand is the back of our legs or any part of our leg, it's a round, it's round, it's circular. And so like we keep missing or chances of us missing spots on our leg when we're doing it because we're not going with the circle. So this is why I really love to come on my knee and do it on my knee. So let's think about this. I have got my right leg back. I am squeezing my butt cheek, so it's getting a good workout. I'm flexing forward, so I'm stretching out my hip flexor as I am going to be fascia blasting the back. I'm going to go ahead and use the the base, forgetting what this is called right now. Sorry, guys. And just go on the inside quadrant, then the flat, then the outside. Okay. So inside, coming all the way down to the intersection, all the way down to that knee, going all the way up to your privates, back and forth, and now on the outside. Now let's take that and do cross fiber to that. If you find a sensitive spot, you just stay there more. If you want more definition at glute hammy tie-in, you stay up here more. You want smaller knees or smaller lower legs, the knees, you're going to spend longer here. Okay, now let's go ahead and get our big tooth tool, starting on this inside, on the underneath, and on the outside. Okay, then I'm going to cross fiber to that. Okay, cross fiber. Now, most people have more of their dented cellulite up towards the rear end more, and then they've got more of the banding cellulite later on lower in the leg. So I really think that it's important to work on both. Sometimes these that have the bands are much deeper than the ones that are that we actually see that those big dimples that we don't like. So it's good to get it all moving. Okay. Then a great one. Now I am, like I said, I'm 60, gonna be 61. My butt's a little closer to my ankles than I'd like it to be. But you know, I've lost 70 pounds during my day, and I've had to kind of like make up and get my skin back against me, and you know, trying to do my best. So I don't blast my butt very much because I'd rather have the cellulite on my butt than no butt. And my butt's already getting a little bit more flat south. So I have found I'm really liking the Pro Nugget. And what I do is I just do the scooping on the very bottom portions of my butt. And I'm scooping because that's where I've got the cellulite deep in there. And so I'm just scooping that and I'm pulling on it, go through the intersection. I'll go start at underneath the butt. Yep. And so that's what I have been liking. Okay. So we got through our first leg, right? And we really talked about the mobility, and then we talked about all the joints. It's where it gets more hydrated or drier and they stick on them. But most of the time when our body's not looking how we like it, it's actually happening because it's trying to stabilize and help our biomechanics because our our body, if we're not going to use it right, it's going to be like having an earthquake go on inside, and it's trying to stabilize you, and then those adhesions it makes in order to help stabilize your body. So it comes to our rescue, but we have to also go, okay, well, how can I get a bit more responsible in that process? Okay, so I'm going to show you another way that I like to do, and this is how what I teach my women when they have had a propensity of hyperextending their knees when they stand. So I'll show you. So hyperextending your knees is taking your knees from a soft to hyperextend it back. So it's locked out. Okay. Anytime you lock your knee back like that, you take your whole thoracic spine out of alignment. And so our longest, most mobile part of our spine, we've actually taken out of alignment. And so I like to teach my women to hold in their stomach, do this as a second way to do their legs, and different from what I just showed you. And the reason why I like this is because a lot of times when the women have hyperextended their knee back, what happens is they get some gristly muscle up here that gets like twingy, and it's hard to reach that part of right behind your knee if you are not doing it like this. What I also like about this is that this is bringing the blood to my face, which is also so good for detoxification. And then I can go and work down my legs like this. Now, one important factor to this is pulling in your abs, right? So I'm holding my abs tight. And when I round over, I put my butt back further than my heels, which made it easy for me to lean over and in the right muscles to engage. When you come up from standing like this, you want to be very careful in case you've gotten dizzy at all. And then also to protect your muscles of your spine. So I am doing my feet and everything like I started on the other leg. I could do that exact same thing all over here and standing at this angle. I really, really like this, especially when I'm really hot, right out of a hot yoga or something. Now I'm using the Pro Nugget. Has a whole different sensation. This is a really good device if you're really beyond bound. Okay, so you see the difference? Now I can go and just finish off that leg like I did on the other one when I've got my knees up. And the idea is that we want to be creating as much as we can the freedom in the area for the movement, for all the hydration to come through. And then we want to be using our right tools that we feel comfortable with as you're intuitively blasting your body. So I actually think if I had a saddlebag, I would be doing a lot of press, press and wiggle, press and wiggle, press and wiggle. I don't have a lot of saddlebag. My issues are still my issues, but I don't tend to have any of that anymore. Um, been fascia blasting for a long time, so it's literally pushing this into your skin and moving it back and forth. I do that a lot on my shoulders. Oh, my shoulders always get bound up. Okay, so ladies, I hope that was helpful, right? So we talked about mobility, but we also talked about beauty, and we also talked about where do you want it smaller, spend more time there. I just happen to be where I am in a very aesthetic driven culture. So I've worked with 3 plastic surgeons over the course of my career. Most of my database is very aesthetic driven. What's lovely, they come in, I get to give them health and beauty at the same time. So I don't mind what whoever comes in the door for whatever your goal and purpose is, whether it's for aesthetics or health, because I'm giving you both. So the idea is that every time that we are fascia blasting our own bodies, we are giving ourselves health and beauty. And so there is no loss, right? So we get great results and great benefits on both ends. And let me think, is there anything else I could tell you? Hydration is key, you guys. Lots of stretching. Um, Always, if you're always wondering, like, how do I want to shape that leg? Pull up a person's legs that you really like. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think Naomi Campbell has excellent legs. I also think, um, who's the music star? I love her. Blonde. She's got beautiful wheels also, and then just kind of try to carve those around. I do what I call, pretty knees or inner thigh sag. Like the thing is that this skin is very thin as we age, and so like pinching on it, squeezing on it, and then doing a lot of superficial work. The more your skin has age, you want to do a lot more superficial. Then you want to do deeper layers. I used to do more deeper layers. The older I get, I'm finding I'm doing more superficial, trying to get the blood supply up and running there. And work on your posture and work on your feet. Okay, you guys, I hope that helps. Please ask any questions. I'll get on. Okay. Have a great day.